good afternoon. Welcome to this discussion session where we tackle issues that have to do with us Africans. Today's topic is it better to educate more people poorly or fewer people well? So a bit about this topic. This revolves around prioritizing education quality versus accessibility. Educating more people poorly may lead to a semi-literate population, while educating fewer people well can create a highly skilled elite. So only a few, the best of the best, can be taught, or education should be taught to everyone. It shouldn't be only to just these few people. Basically asks the question, should education be only for a selective few, so we just choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just maybe 10 people, or everyone, the whole population must be or can be taught? So key considerations to think about is societal impact, economic growth, and individual opportunities. So that is a bit about the topic for today. So whenever you're ready, you can answer with what you say is okay, and then just mention your reason. And then also later in the session, we can go over how education can benefit everyone and not just the few people, and what steps are needed or can be taken to make sure that education is accessible in general. So yeah, so whenever, okay, Arate, go ahead.
Hello, guys. This is a very funny way of questioning or putting the question, because it seems like it's a no-brainer, but when you think about it, it's actually quite deep, because we all know the United Nations states that education is a right. The Human Rights Charter says education is a right. So whether whether people who are given this education accept it or not, the fact is they need it somehow because it is a right, as much as breathing oxygen is. Now, the thing about educating everybody poorly is because you're trying to make education accessible for everybody, therefore limited resources. The quality is quite thin, if I should say. Therefore, it's not going to be as well or as good as it should be. Therefore, we say it is poor. But the truth of the matter is that little bit of education opens a lot of doors for a lot of people. The small education that somebody gets from grade 1 up to 7, if they stop at 7 because they cannot, it helps them to actually be literate enough to be able to tackle life's problems, to have problem solving skills and other things that you learn at a school, for example. But also, when you flip it again, you look at the other side, where now educating fewer people well comes into play. Now, I feel that this debate question, it is basically what we are experiencing right now. We start off in primary school, where everybody goes to school and everyone is educated somehow in the normal way, or in where things are done right according to the United Nations chart. Everyone should be educated around that. Around 6 years, everybody goes to school. They go to school for the longest time until they get to a point where now we become more technical, and that's where we have fewer people being educated well. Now this is where now you get your doctors, you get your police officers, you get your teachers, you get your climate analysts. This is where now you educate well, because now the stream has become smaller. The triangle has become smaller at the top. So what you get at the bottom sieves to show you who needs to be educated more, because what you get at the bottom is standard, and it's not. I don't consider it poor. I just feel like it's adequate for the masses. But as you continue up the triangle, the peak That's why you get more technical knowledge, people who can make such big decisions and all of that based on the education level that they get and all of that. It helps with such things as decision making, problem solving, and whatnot. So I think that the system that we are currently in right now addresses both educating the masses poorly, but educating fewer people technically well. I stopped there.
Okay, thank you. So it's like kind of saying those who are educated poorly, you can go up. You can go up a bit in the pyramid, I should say, and then the fewer people at the top can kind of teach you in a way. But yeah, you are right. Education at an early age is very, very important, and it should be accessible to everyone. But only, but I think there's only a few that will rise to the next level, because sometimes it's all about the will of the person. Do you have the willpower, or maybe the means? Because I think means that can be arranged, that can be changed. You can change the means, but I mean, like, the how do I say this? Do you want this? Yeah, the want and the willpower. Do you want to be more educated and move up levels, or you want to stay there and just learn the few that you can learn? So that's the thing that I have. So yeah, thank you. Any other thoughts, comments about this topic? Maybe you have a different angle that you want to lean into. Maybe, yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Okay. So, okay, for me, I think I will be handling this today's topic on two grounds. First ground is educating the few makes you gain, because it's better you educate one person that is able to understand a particular concept and is able to teach it properly to few than educating much persons. I think one thing we have in major universities across Africa now is everybody wants to go to school, but not everybody are ready to learn. Like I usually tell them here in Nigeria, um, school goes beyond you going there, getting your BSc, getting your MSc, becoming a doctor, you have a PhD. School goes beyond that. Learning, you can even stay in your comfort zone and learn what you want to learn. But what I'm trying to say today is this: we, instead of we training crowds, because if you notice now, everybody are just after the certificate. Okay, there's a course, there's a data analysis course. Let me register. They say if I become a data analyst, I will get the job. You will now be seeing everybody on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, everybody posting certificate about I'm not a data analyst. But at the end of everything, I just notice that only few persons understand what the concept of data analysis means. So I'm handling this today's debate from this perspective. It's better we train a few if we want Africa to be better. When those few understand the concept, then they will train another set of few persons that will understand the concept. If we continue like this, you will see that we will go bigger than what we have now. So it's better we train the few instead of training much poorly. Because training much persons poorly, for example, this is where I'm coming another angle you should look at it from. It's more or less like building a classroom for 250 students. And at the end of the period, you notice that when classes 50 are sitting, 100 are on the floor, 20 are sitting on the window, no table. Some are using another person's back to write, copy notes when they are in classes. So that is what you should also look at. So it's better we have 50 persons in a classroom and they are comfortably sitting than having 250 in a classroom where just 50 are seated. Because at the end, you notice that that remaining 150, they are not learning anything because you are frustrated, you are not sitting. The ventilation in the classroom is occupied. So there you can see students contacting airborne diseases. So it is better we train the few that are ready to learn, the 50 persons that will be in classroom, sit and understand. then 50% train another 50%, the next 50% another 50%, then let the cycle goes like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with your point there about the many people in a classroom. It can get very, very frustrating, and then you cannot be able to learn anything because of there's noise, there's a lot of people. Then the knowledge that you're trying to seek, it just goes in one ear out the other. You're not focusing, and that I think can be a problem, especially when accessing education. And this is a reality in some of our schools. Like some of the students, I mean, some of the students have to rely on someone, a friend's back to just write the notes. There's no adequate equipment, chairs, tables, nothing. So it kind of a problem with that. Yeah. And then also, I also agree with your point about not everyone wants to learn. When you get to university or even school, not everyone, they can go to school fine, but then do they really have the willpower, the want, or do they see how, like, they're taking this education for granted? Some, they just don't want to learn totally. And I think those kinds of people, they are misusing that opportunity of getting an education. So that's my 2 cents about it. Yes, Khalate.
Right. Mine is a question. I just want to ask you guys, how do you determine who gets to learn and who doesn't in this case where you want to educate the few and leave out the masses? What is the criteria that you use? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Interesting question there. Let's go to Simon and then good luck. Yes, Simon, go ahead. Hello, Simon. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to good luck.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so for me, I'd like you to answer your question. If you keep, first thing I will start with is this. If we keep asking that kind of question, we will not get the amount of development we want to get across Africa. Who gets to be educated is who is interested in education. When I first started, I said education goes beyond going to school. Education itself, you can stay in your comfort zone and learn what you want to learn and still become better. So, what we are supposed to ask is when we are doing selection processes, who is really interested in learning this particular skill, in going to school? I tell you, 10 years from today, what you are going to see is set of frustrated doctors, set of frustrated lecturers, set of frustrated professors. Because most of them, they don't want to go into this particular field. Some of them, they usually, if you ask majority of medical doctors, you see that most of those are persons that their parents ask them that, okay, go and study medicine. I'm a medical doctor. Your father is a medical doctor, so you must be a medical doctor. So those kind of people are just in medical school to occupy space. It's not necessarily their passion. They're not interested in it. So for your question, we look for who and who is really interested in going to school, not for the certificate, but to ensure that he or she passes this knowledge down to the next generation. Remember, if we keep educating the masses and what we are just getting just 50 persons, like my example of the school, just 50 persons that are interested in going to school. You notice that the remaining 150 will become nuisance to the society, and there will still be the same persons coming out to the same school is scam. But if we focus on the 50 persons that are ready to pass down this knowledge to the next generation, and I tell you, those 50 persons will be able to train another 50 persons. Because if you notice, the educational system in Africa is so long. It's a lengthy educational system. Most of the courses we are taking in Africa, in other part of the world, it's just 2 years, 3 years. When you come to Africa, you are taking a course that another country is taking for 2 years, are taking it 4 years. So if we reduce this rate by educating the 50 persons, 2 years, another 2 years, new set of persons comes into the system. So you notice that we can now continue passing on our culture. If you notice, the African culture is dying. I don't like it. The main history of Africa is being told by foreigners. Go and check it. Nobody reads African stories again. Why? Nobody wants to study history. Everybody wants to be a medical doctor. Nobody is ready to study, okay, where am I from? This is my root. But the foreigners we are listening to are going back to study their root. You see some persons telling me, I've traced my DNA back to Nigeria, I've traced my DNA back to Africa. But we in the African setting, we don't want to. We prefer foreigners telling our stories. This is because we're having 200 persons going to school, but they are not actually interested in passing the knowledge next to generation. So the selection criteria should be these 50% that want to go to school. Are they willing to go? Will they be able to pass this knowledge down to the next generation? So I think that is what me understand as for your question. I think that's how I can answer that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Interesting, interesting. I almost wanted, I wanted to say that answer about passion. I was gonna say passion to answer you, Khala, the passion, willpower. Are you willing? And then a new one. Are you willing to put in the effort into learning something? You know, are you willing to put in the hours, the time, the extra oomph, the extra means to get to the classroom? Are you willing to put in the effort? So I think that's an important criteria, important thing to remember for if there is such a criteria for people needing an education. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Simon and then Khaulate, back to you. Hello, Simon. I hope that you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good day.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm on the side of educating the many because I think a more productive society will be a society where everybody is literate. If we have just a few who are literate and the many are illiterate, the illiterates will drag the literates back. Which Let me just ask a question: which society do you think is more productive? A society where 100% are are literate, they are knowledgeable in the basics, or society where there's like 20% genius and the rest are illiterate. I think it's the 100% that are literate, even with just basic knowledge, that would do better. Another is this: um, how do we know who will do better in school, will do better when they're educated? We don't just select a few. Some kids they do poorly in early stages of their learning career and they go on to be geniuses later on. So when we are doing this early criteria of selecting just a few, we're going to lose those diamonds that will shine later on. Another point is this: we need numbers to succeed. We need everybody to be on the same side. So development will not seem strange to them, growth will not seem strange to them. Education opens our mind. We talk going to school is about using certificates to work, or it opens your mind to growth, to many other opportunities. So I think everyone should be allowed to go to school. And another is this: if we educate just a few, we'll see cases of segregation. People who are educated will speak less of people who are not educated. And what assurance do you have that people who want to become educated will come back and educate the men who are not educated? We've seen cases that happen when countries send few of their people outside the country to get education and come back to the country to impart their knowledge. Some don't even come back. So let's give everybody equal opportunities to become educated, even if it's just basic knowledge. The society will be better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A huge shift from that. Yeah, but yeah, good points made. Good points made. Like, what about the masses? Why aren't they favored? I should say. So, so basically, what you're saying, fewer people kind of it doesn't favor the masses, like the masses don't have a voice, I should say. But yeah, you made an interesting point there. So yeah, thank you, Simon. Yes, Halate.
Thank you once again. Can you hear me?
uh yes, yeah, I can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great. Um, I am still for the masters. I still say that uh, it's important to educate the masses, even as poorly. But then who is to say poor, what is poor and what is not? I just feel like um, when you, even imperfect education is a door opener for anyone, you know, for somebody who would otherwise get nothing or no education whatsoever. If you give them even that poor or imperfect education, you are actually giving them a pathway from where they are, point A to point B. And also, when you think about it, education that when you normally educate the community, for example, if you are in a community and you want to educate the masses, that's when you have greater impact. I'm not even talking about the classroom in this case. I'm talking about a situation where you call the people to a town hall, then there's a perhaps maybe a disease that is being spread or something by certain behaviors, and then you teach them, you educate them on how to protect themselves, what behaviors to change and what not. That goes a long way. That's educating the masses. Imagine if all of that education was left for a few who understood better, a few who were deemed to be more privileged than others to gain access to education. Imagine if that was just privileged to those few. We would be wiped out by now. So education, literally using baseline literacy, even it can change society. And also, I just feel like when you educate fewer people, you are basically giving already privileged people more privilege over the other. So essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that we can't stick to picking up a few people and then just educating those. And also, I feel like this word poorly educated or poorly educated people leading to teach basically. You know, the idea is not a bad education, but mass education. If you are going to educate a lot of people, obviously the resources are not going to be enough. And when you don't have enough resources, that means whatever you're trying to teach the people is not going to come across. I will give you an example. If you are a science teacher, for example, and you're trying to teach about photosynthesis and you are showing the kids, the many children who are you want to educate in a large number, for example, in a large classroom, instead of like maybe 7 or 8 people in a class, you have 40. Now you're gonna need microscopes to show them the chloroplast, but you can't. You can't show them all because you only have 8 microscopes. And those microscopes, if you leave them out for the few, those who are in a, I'll use privilege, yes, a privileged society. So basically, accessibility doesn't mean inaccuracy in this case. It just simply means that less resources, but not bad education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Interesting there. Interesting there. Yeah, the thing of many people in a classroom, it's a problem. It's a problem. And then, like I said earlier, it becomes frustrating. I think Godlek said that it becomes frustrating, kind of annoying, and there's no learning. It goes in one ear, goes out the other, and then the lack of resources kind of also messes with the access to education. If there's no, or if there is little to no resources, then that how should I say, this encouragement or that that fire that you want to learn something, it just dies down because okay, so there's not enough resources. Should I still continue or what? I think the person will have that kind of question that they can ask themselves. So yeah, thank you. Okay, yes, good luck, go ahead.
Someone like I understand the point you're coming from. I think That is also where I'm coming from. All I'm saying since I started was this. Let's check the available resources before we are talking about educating the masses. If there is no resources, and like you said, Olateya, even for 40 students, what you have is just 8 microscopes that are available. Those students will give you many, give you 8 is more or less like you're just teaching 8 persons on how to use it. Because even if you divide it into five, okay, you divide them into 8 different groups, 5 persons per group, you will notice that out of the group, only two will be focused in learning. So I'm asking from the perspective of before we are talking about educating the masses, are the resources available to educate these persons? So we cannot just say, okay, let's educate the masses when there is no available resources. The classroom is too small. Classrooms is just to accommodate 50 persons. For example, check most of the government-owned universities across Africa. You will notice that it was specifically built for nothing more than 100 students to sit in a classroom. But check those same universities are admitting more than 100. Now, because of the masses, they want to ensure mass education, mass literacy. But at the end of everything, you will notice that only few are ready to learn. So, if there is available resources, we can go ahead to educate the masses. But when there is no available resources, we can just focus on the few first. Yes, the few, some of them may not come back to come and train the ones that were not able to be trained. But I'm certain out of the few, most persons that have conscience will still come back. Let's look at the perspective of is there available resources to train the masses? If there are available resources, why can't we do so? The Western countries, there's available resources that they are doing it and they are doing perfectly well. But where we are, there's no available resources. So let's look at it from that perspective. Instead of we wasting the resources saying we are doing mass education, if you notice, most of us, the universities we went to, we were the one that taught ourselves. We just sat down in the lecture room and the lecturer was just teaching. It enters here, it comes out from the other side. When we get to the house, we take the scheme of work or the course outline, we start looking at it, then we start reading on our own. That's what most of us did in the universities in Africa. So if you do the study, if you do the research, you will notice that that is what most students did. So why are we now using the resources that we want to use to train the masses? What if we just focus on the 50? Yes, the remaining other persons can come in, but let's make sure that these persons that we want to train, let them go to school and know what they want to do. It will reduce economic progress of the country. It will reduce the economic development of it. But at the end of everything, find out that even if it's in the 50, 30 or 20 might have a little bit of conscience to come back and say, okay, I will develop my country. But then, and another example I want to tell you is this. African history, do you know that they are not told by Africans anymore? Go and check it. We, the Gen Zs or the Gen Alphas or the rest of them, I don't know. Nobody is ready to study history. Everybody just wants to focus on, yes, I want to be a medical doctor, let me go into medicine, do this. We need those kind of things to come into play. Now we are focused on mass education. Everybody is just doing science, technology, engineering, and the rest of them. That's what everybody is focusing on. Because of mass education, we want economic development. But we are forgetting that we have left the scoreboard. We are forgetting where we are coming from. So let's look at it. Even if we want to go into mass education, let's look at available resources and let's not waste the resources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And and this is especially when universities or even schools have that mentality of, I know, just put the child in. But then, does the child want to be there? Does the child want to learn science, for example, instead of history? So I think it kind of, the thing of teaching the masses, it kind of relates to that. We now live, I think some schools are doing that. We now live in that thing where, I know, just put him in. It's fine, it's fine. The more the merrier, right? Whereas no, it's not. That's not the case. The more the merrier, it's not the case. Because some of these kids, some of the students, they're not getting the knowledge that they need. Because there's noise here, there's a lot of people there. It's just not working out. So I think with regards to good luck, what you said there, I think it's that mentality of, I know, just put him there, he'll be fine, he'll manage. But then know that the student needs individual attention, and they cannot get that attention because there's too many people. So yeah. Okay, yes, Simon. Hello, Simon, are you there?
I'm still here. So I don't think we are doing mass education in Nigeria and most countries in Africa, because if you look at doctor to patient ratio, we have about one doctor to every 9,000 patients, and we cannot say that that is mass education. It's not mass education. So when we educate just a few, we stand a risk of losing that few to countries who have not invested in it. Because now, if you train just a select few and they become exceptionally genius, they become exceptionally great with solid knowledge, but this average society is not able to pay them or employ their services, to have to leave to other nations who can employ their services. That means the country has lost all the investments in them. So let the mass learn. And you cannot say what is happening in industries. Nigeria is a case study. Nigeria is a case of mass education. That's why the system is poor. It's not, it's corruption. We underfund education. We steal money meant the little they allocate to education is still stolen. So we cannot say because they're trying to educate the masses, that's why the education system is poor. No, it's corruption that's making the education system poor. So let's address the root cause, not just attack mass education. We, if we practice just highly educating a few people, we stand the risk of elitism. Just like there'll be the elite and there'll be the poor masses. When everybody is educated, when everybody have an equal opportunity to everything, the society will be more balanced. So let's forget about education just a few, because we feel many people do not want to learn. No, there are about 13 million Nigerian children out of school. So it means that there are still many people who are not in school. So we're not practicing mass education. What we're practicing is an education where what is allocated to it is not enough, and the little allocated to it is stolen. We walk around schools, we see the way our schools are. It's not because the children are many, no, it's because they are not funding education. Let me move away from our topic today and show you how we give more funds to things that are not necessary. Yesterday, I came across the proposed budget for a state house of assembly. They are giving house to the members in another state. Why does a legislature that is governing a state want to live in another state? Why they give SIM cards to them every year, while that same funds can be used to educate? So let's not say the government should focus on just a few, and let's encourage them. Let's push them to educate the masses and put the funds, invest in education, because without education, I don't think Africa can go anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And especially there's those fewer people who either don't want to or refuse to share that education among the masses. Those are the kind of people which I think they're the ones who do corruption. They're the ones who don't want to share the knowledge to people. Whereas education, it's not just for you. It must not be kept by you. It must be shared. It must, like, at least everyone must have a knowledge of something. You cannot just hold that knowledge to yourself. You must have that thing of, okay, I've learned this, let me share it with the world. And whatever you do with it, that's your business. But me, I want to share this knowledge with the world. And I think that is very important. And investment, you're right, investment is very important. And it should be with the right people. Because again, corruption really messes with the education systems, and those who really need the education, because those kinds of people, they mess up progress and growth by just stealing the funds or keeping the funds, whereas they should use those funds to education and growth and learning. So yeah, that is a problem. Oh, okay, so I have a comment here by Nicole who left, but I think it's important to read. So Nicole's view is it's better to educate fewer people because it's much better sowing seeds on a ground that will build fruit than a ground that won't. Fewer people with integrity are able to be more impactful to the community alike, unlike those many who are half baked. So those are Nicole's views. If you agree or disagree, you can drop it in the chat. But those are her views with regards to this. Okay, let's go to Muhalate. She's back. Yeah, she's back.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I don't know what it says, but yeah, technology. All right. So I'm still with Simon on this. I feel like uh, equity is very important because when you educate only a few well, you are not going to select those people based on uh, potential, but on the ability to have access. This creates that elitist society that you are talking about. Because when you select based on access, you are going to pick those who are privileged over the other, not necessarily because of the potential that each and every person has within the masses. You're going to lose innovators, you lose leaders, scientists, problem solvers, great um, policymakers and all of that because you never reached them because there was that narrow bottleneck of who goes where and what not, and others don't have access to that. I just think that mass education is how the society will discover talent, not how to dilute excellence. Because honestly, excellence is not about uh, who is the best at something, you know. So I just think that masters are not the opposite of excellence. They are the source where you get the excellent people who are going to do all of that, who are going to change the world in a way that you want. Good luck. Those people you get them from the masses. You can't produce scientists and engineers without a broad foundational system, and that broad foundational system involves a lot of people and very not limited per se, but this is where you use the word poor, but it's not poor, it's grassroots, it's foundational, you know. So you can't build a house without a foundation. You can't want to have a mansion without a foundation. And for you to have a nice mansion on the outside, you need to have a proper foundation, and that is where mass education comes in, you know. So the masses are not the opposite of excellence here. That's where you get the dire resource for the excellence. So yeah, I know history has shown that a few educated people can definitely invent the future, no doubt. But only an educated public, the masses, can accept and protect that future and, and even sustain that future. All the rules that Bo Einstein came up with, the nice theories of motion and all of that, we all understand that and we accept it because we are educated. We are able to live it. We are able to transform all of that from theory now to practical because we are educated enough. But I also want to ask you guys, what universities are you guys talking about where people are not able to learn properly? Because not in the education system that I know, I'm not going to name names. People who go to university are people who are very serious about their life and what they want. The rest of the masters who don't qualify to go into university, they fall off as you move on. That's why foundational education is important because now as you narrow up and you go up the bottle, you start to see that only the few who are serious about what they want to do in their life. They go to university. So I don't know, I've never attended a single university class, and I've attended a lot of those where it's noisy, people are not able to understand, it's a mess, the resources are limited, Okay, fine, resources can be limited, but I don't know, like the universities that I've gone to are very resource, not because it's elite or anything, but because it's a university. Only few people go there. You start with, say for example, you start with 200,000 students on the ground, and then all of those they see up to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 students. For example, it's an example of a population. So from 200,000 to 300, I mean to 5,000 or 10,000 students, that reduces the number dramatically. That's where you get that perfect education, because now you have grown people who are more understanding of what they want to do with their lives. Wow. Okay, this actually counters what I went through, because I went to university not really knowing what I wanted to do. I was pushed, like good luck says, you're pushed towards a certain course, not necessarily because you want to, but the fact of the matter is you do gain that technical knowledge, you fall in love with whatever you're doing. If not, then you switch, you change, you do something else. But because you're capable of doing that, how did you get there? You got there because you were educated with the masses. So basically here, quality will suffer if education becomes exclusive. Let's be inclusive. Let's bring everybody in. You know, the answer to this poor mass education is better mass education. You know, not less of it. Let's bring more and more of education, more and more people into education. But let's try and make it better. Let's try and make it more accessible. More. Let's add more resources. Let's not completely chuck it out, because, like I said, who gets to choose who gets better education and who doesn't? What authority, on what authority do they stand to say child? Or maybe the problem here is that maybe we are talking about different levels of education, because I am coming from the foundational education bit where every child uh, has a right to learn. So I'm talking from that end. So if you're going to be picking what child needs to learn, what child needs to go to school, what child has access to education, that is wrong. That is trampling on human rights as they are. So I say, let the children learn, so that in the end you have that elite uh, community of people who have gone all the way further into education because of their ability to be able to get there. Yes, but the rest of them will have some form of education that will allow them. In Setswana, I'm going to loosely translate it. Being in a classroom, getting your hand hit opens your mind. Just because you entered into a classroom, you get abilities to problem solve, to be able to think beyond just your natural abilities. You get that mind opening ability because you went into a classroom. You learned a little bit. You learned structure. You learned discipline, that you don't wake up in the morning and then next thing you do 1, 2, 3. There's a structure of how you need to do things. There's a discipline on how you can't just go to school with a backpack full of food and then when you enter the class you start eating. You wait for break time. That on its own is education. It leads you to be able to be a better human being in the future. Take turns. Turn taking, for example, when you're using a microscope and there's 10 of you for one microscope, you take turns. That leads you to understand that in the future, you take turns. You don't just go across the red robot because when you feel like it's my turn to go. You wait. You know, those are things that you might take for granted, but you learn from the classroom. So I still say let's educate the masses. Even if the education is not up to par, let's educate them anyway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kaolate. I think with regards to, for me, with regards to the thing of university, I have that thing of, I think it's a privilege. Remember, not everyone can get to university. Not everyone can be in a vocational school. There are certain, I won't say limits, but criteria in order for you to get to that class, in order for you to get to university. And I think what some of the masses don't realize is that this course, for example, you can it's not just for anyone. It's for that selected few. So I'll go from that point of view. It's for that selected few. Not everyone can do everything. You must know where your strengths are, what you're good at, what is your passion, and also, are you willing to be in this class and actually gain this knowledge? are you just here because, oh, your mom said so, or society say so? You must have that thing of, no, I am here because I want to learn. I want to learn this science because I have a passion for it and I want to see gain knowledge of this. So yeah. Okay, let's go to good luck, and then I will share a final question that I want to share with you guys. So good luck, go ahead.
Okay. Please, I'm not saying that max education is wrong. But I'm arguing from the perspective that if we use the available resources, we may not achieve mass education in Africa. Now, I want us to go back now and check each of our country's budget for the year. Now, check the percentage that is allocated to the educational system. Check the percentage that is released to the educational system. Then compare. Are you getting my point? They are not ready to fund it. So since they are not ready to fund it, then let's make do with what we have. The corruption in Africa, and one thing I also found out recently is that the politicians knows that when the masses are educated, they are the losing side because there you will have more journalists, there you will have more writers, there you will have more medical doctors to challenge anything that they are saying. So they are not ready to fund it. But I'm of the view that since we have the resources that they're allocating is not much, let's make deal with it. Because if they are not ready to allocate more, then everybody is going to school. Not everybody is learning anything. Yes, going to school, so you learn some kind of etiquette from it, how to go on time, how to be disciplined, how to do. But do you know that some persons have used because of this mass education and still get spoiled in school? Yes, some persons have gone to the school and get spoiled. Some things they don't do at home, they go to the university and they do it. But from the primary education aspect, education is for everybody. Yes, I'm advocate for SDG4 and I know what I'm advocating for. But and the quality of education in Africa is so let's make do with what we have. That's what I'm arguing for. I did not say we are not saying mass education is wrong, but let's make do of what we have. Go and check it globally where Nigerian universities are standing based on the index. I think no African university makes it to the first 10. I'm not sure. They are all Western, which means they are lacking funding. The research qualities are so poor. Quality of research are so poor. So, but look at these same Africans, let them travel and leave their country and go to this Western world. You see that most of the quality of research they are producing are more. So I'm not arguing that the mass education is wrong, but let's make do with what we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that is the important thing here. Let's make it accessible and quality education, not just education. No, it must be quality. One way it will stick in you as you grow. It will it will stick in your head until we must not compromise on quality education. So as Karate said, very important to have a foundation. The foundation is the quality. You need quality, so that when this child grows, the person still remembers what he or she has learned in grade one, still knows the values and what to do, what not to do, the good and bad of life. So I think important thing here to remember is quality. We should not compromise quality. Okay, how many minutes? Okay, so let's go to concluding thoughts. So let's just round up everything that was discussed, and let's go back to our question: is it better to educate more people poorly or fewer people well? So here, closing statement: is it a yes or is it a no? And then respond with a closing statement. So whoever's ready, you can go ahead. And if so, and also respond with what can be a solution or ways or tactics that education can be accessible, whether for the masses or for the fewer people or both combined. So, yeah. Yes, good luck.
My answer to the question for today's debate is no. When you want to do something, let's do it perfectly fine. Why should I go to school when I know that you are not teaching me the complete thing I need? What is the essence of me going to school? So you telling me I should go to school, but you will still train me poorly, which means I'm just going there to waste most of my life. So my suggestion to the government, my suggestion on how they can do it is the World Bank has placed a particular benchmark for each country's budget when it comes to education. Let the government do it. I usually say this when every of our debate. Policies, implementing policies is the key to a country's growth. Not you wake up, so country makes a tie with makes an agreement with Japan on improving educational system. At the end, you go to the educational system of that country. It is nothing to write home about. And I'll give you that when we are implementing a policy, if we are doing 25% of total budget should go to educational system, let it go. Not you will state in the news that 25% have allocated to the budget, but only 5% are what you are releasing. And at the end, you are asking these lecturers, these teachers to teach well, very well. They will not teach well. That is the example of the poor educating the masses but poorly. Because you did not pay me my complete salary, you are still owing me. At the end, you before you pay me my salary, you have removed your tax. And you're expecting me to teach. I will pay tax, I will teach, I will lecture, and you don't pay me completely. I will still owe me. But you are deducting your tax every year, every month, before paying the salary. So instead of educating the masses poorly, let's focus on quality over quantity. I think that is where we are missing it when it comes to education in Africa. That's where we are missing it very well. We will just focus on quantity every time. Universities in Africa, when they are graduating, we hear 23,000 persons graduated from the university. But where are the 23 persons? Can they create job for themselves? Are they able to think wisely? What is the employment index, unemployment index in Africa? I'm not talking about country specific. What is the employment index, unemployment index in Africa? But when these persons graduate after this mass education, when they have educated poly, and they can't sit down on their own and think, okay, I've graduated. What is the next step? I should start up a business. Should I solve a country? Should I solve my local problem? You see that they are not thinking about that. That is when we are educating the masses poorly. So when we're educating when we're educating a few, some of them start thinking, all right, fine. I've graduated as chemical engineering. Okay, fine. What should I do next? Yeah, I'm a medical doctor. There's this particular problem. There's this particular health condition that people have been suffering in my locality. Can I what and what should I mix together to provide a solution to that? But go and check. Most of the medical doctors we have now are TikTokers. Everybody is a blogger now. How to solve so and so kidney problem. How to do this. That's what everybody is doing now online. Everybody is going becoming a blogger. Everybody is doing social media. So please, let's educate. Let's focus on quality over quantity. So this goes to the government. They should fund the educational system properly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Simon, go ahead.
So I still say let's educate the masses because you cannot have a ceiling without a floor. If you educate just a select few, maybe this generation will be quite okay. We have people who could do it. But the next generation there will be revolution, there will be protest because it's not the reward what they should get from the country, which is education, has not passed around. Why should the resource meant for the country be given just a few? Because they feel that like have the best shot at utilizing the opportunity. Let everybody be educated and who want to take it a bit higher could do it. When we are just educating just a few, just like we are building a skyscraper on foundation that is meant for maybe a bungalow, it will fall. It look fancy, it looks good, but it will fall. Then what should the government do? The government should stop corruption around education. What's meant for education should be given to education. We should not even strive to meet the benchmark for what else for for education funding. Like we can surpass it because without education, a country is nothing. I'll say this to end. Let everybody who wants to be educated. Nobody should be stopped because they feel just a select few should be given education. What we should focus our energy on is stopping the government from stealing funds meant for education and helping ensuring people utilize the opportunity very well. We will say people who go to school don't utilize the opportunity. It's because they don't see any reward for education. Let's bring back the reward for education. How much are teachers paid? How much are graduates paid? Let's look at that. And we'll see that the people who don't value the education, they're not wrong. They've seen what you stand to get when you use your certificate to work and what you stand to get when you don't use it to work. So let's reward education and let everybody who wants to be educated be educated.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Go ahead, Kaulate.
Thank you so much. I am saying mass education is very important. I stand by mass educating the people because it is not a compromise on quality. It's a commitment to progress of the society. So I don't think societies are failing because they lack experts. They are failing because that knowledge actually never reaches the ground. It never reaches the people. So those people on the ground are the ones that shape the outcome of policies, of everything. So if they're not educated enough to absorb this expert knowledge or technical knowledge that comes from this elite learning, then what is the point of it all? You know, when education is limited to a few uh, uh, power, understanding, and opportunities, it kind of gets like what Simon was saying, it gets concentrated at the top. And when something is concentrated at the top and has no foundation, no pillars holding it up, it crumbles, it fails. So let's share education wisely, and responsibility will do that for us. If you are a responsible citizen of the global society, you will know that everybody really needs to be educated somehow. You know, the danger here is not that people will know too little. It's that if too many know something, then the society is expected to participate in somehow in everything that happens. So I just think that we should make it real. Educating the masses isn't lowering the bar. It's raising the ground that we all stand on. So a few educated minds can design, can come up with solutions and stuff, but only a few educated people can make them stick. I mean, a lot of educated people can make it stick. You make it seem like uh, this mass education, as poor as you say it is. You make it seem like it's it's useless. It's not. It helps. It helps open up the mind. So I still stick to it. You know. So let's not leave anybody. Let's not leave too many people behind and carry the society with only a few people. A society doesn't fail from educating too many people. It fails when too many people are left uninformed and are still expected to carry on the society and into the future. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kaulate. Okay, we have a comment here by Debo Hall. So he says, is the effectiveness of education system about large enrollment numbers or about credibility, competitiveness, reasoning, and reasoning capacity? Sorry. Is it about producing many engineers? Example, imagine visiting a doctor who Googles your symptoms. Can you have confidence on his competence when he performs surgery? Mass education multiplies errors at the cost twice of training and correcting error and confusion. And then he continues, mass education leads to saturated job markets for graduates in Africa. Okay, interesting points there. Thank you, Tebuko. I think that's a fear there. Imagine you having a doctor now who you think is supposed to know what's going on with you, how you got these things. Now it's just Googling. Imagine the horror that a doctor who qualified, who studied for this is now Googling. So yeah, that can cause a bit of a scare. So competence is very important. Can you be able to do that? Do you have the willpower, the passion? So yeah, it all goes back to that. Okay, so to close off the session, from my point of view, I think it is not better to educate more people poorly and fewer people well. I think it's a matter of getting people who are more like, who has the willpower and the want to be able to learn. Even if it's a lot of people or just a few people, the people that you work with, whether big or small, they are willing to learn. They have the passion and they want to learn. But it's not only just going to take the teacher. It's also a team effort. It takes a lot. The community, the government. If we have those people involved and able to pitch in to the development of education, then I think the masses can be also taught, and it's not only just a few people. But also I think those few people who know the stuff, who has the knowledge, who has the deep knowledge, I think they carry the baton to the other people to just trickle down that knowledge to the masses. So I think it starts, for me, I think it starts with a few who will just trickle down that knowledge to the masses. So if we have the few people who know and who are willing to share that knowledge to the masses, then I think we will be okay. So to close off, ultimately the goal should be to educate more people well. But again, we have different views about this. Investing in quality education for all can lead to a more informed, skilled, and equitable society. So Simon did mention about investment. Investment is very important. It's not necessarily an either-or situation here. With innovative approaches and resources, we can strive for both accessibility and excellence in education. So yeah, there's no right or wrong answer with regards to this question, I think, and we have shared both perspectives on this. So I think it just matters about the people. If the people are willing to learn, then hey, the sky's the limit. As long as it's accessible, it's of quality, there's excellence in education, and the resources are available, then I think we can make it work. Education can be for all. And if the foundation is set as early as possible, then again, also the sky's the limit. Education can be for the masses and for those fewer people. So yeah, thank you guys so much for attending this session. Good luck. You can